Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and this is my husband Chris. We have been eating a carnivore diet for over 5.5 years now. We started this for weight loss and have seen numerous other benefits since. We have both lost over 100 pounds and have been maintaining that for the last several years.
I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I reversed a bunch of other medical conditions I had.
No more sleep apnea machine.
Yeah, I was a sick mess. All of it, and it's all been reversed.
One of the most common questions that we get is, how much am I supposed to be eating on a carnivore diet and how often am I supposed to be eating? And while both of those questions have some nuance around them, that's what we want to get into and address today. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Element. Element is an electrolyte drink mix that's perfectly formulated for people who are on a low carb, keto, carnivore diet. It's a salt-based electrolytes, which is going to help really keep you hydrated when you are exercising, sweating, fasting.
My favorite flavor is the chocolate salt. I love to put that in some cold brew coffee in the morning or after a hot run or a walk in the afternoon. The citrus flavor reminds me of that old school lemon lime Gatorade.
Their very popular grapefruit flavor is back permanently. So you can go to drinkelement.com/LauraSpath and you can grab some grapefruit and get a free sample pack with any purchase that lets you try all 8 of their flavors. Thank you to Element for sponsoring this video. When people answer the question of how much am I supposed to eat on a carnivore diet, you hear a lot of different types of advice. You can hear eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. You can hear eat a certain number of pounds of meat. What other kinds of stuff do people say?
Calories, this amount of calories, or this much fat, then the protein first, then fat.
High fat, high protein. There's a lot of different types of advice that you're gonna get. And those might work for a lot of people. For somebody like us, the eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full doesn't work because that, like, I'm full, I should stop eating is broken within us.
Right.
We can eat all the time even if we're not hungry.
Right. Pounds of meat is not a good indicator because that's not telling you how much fat or how much protein, what kind of nutrition is in that kind of meat. So those things can vary drastically, whether it's a ribeye or ground beef.
The most important thing that you need to focus on when you're eating a carnivore diet, or any diet really, is getting enough protein. Your body is healing, recovering, maintaining muscle, building muscle, and all of its proper functions are happening when you are getting enough protein. Getting enough protein might seem really simple when you're eating only meat, but because meat is so satisfying, the most common thing that I am seeing for people is that they are under eating because they're not actually hungry enough. And then in turn, you're not getting enough protein. We have a video if you're looking at how to break a weight loss stall. We talk about the 3 reasons why you might be stalled in your weight loss, and under eating or overeating are 2 of those reasons.
After some time under eating, your body's going to slow things down. So we want to make sure it's getting enough fuel, it's getting enough protein. Those are the big markers that we're shooting for.
That's actually one of the things that I am concerned about as you see people and this rise of Ozempic happening, because it is a weight loss drug that is suppressing your appetite. And there are studies that show that 30% of the weight loss that is happening with Ozempic is a loss of muscle mass and bone mass because you are under eating, which means you're not getting enough protein and your body is actually losing a lot of that muscle and bone along with the fat. The same thing can happen on carnivore if you are just not eating enough nutrients.
A suggestion or a good guideline to go by when it comes to how much protein you should eat is about 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight or lean body mass. So for someone like me, I'm 6 foot tall, would like to be around 180 pounds. So I shoot for at least 180 grams of protein.
I'm 5'8" and I try to hit 120 to 140 grams of protein at minimum.
So after that protein goal, the fat is a leverage point. You know, how much energy do you need? How much can you eat and still reach your goals, right? You want to make sure that you're not getting tired and fatigued because you're under eating fat. You also don't want to overeat fat because that can cause problems too on the weight gain side. When you eat more fat, your body will burn fat better and more efficiently, so your basal metabolic rate will go up some, but that is a U-shaped curve, so there is a limit where that's too much. So eating sticks of butter is not always advised.
Women typically need more fat than men do just because our hormones really function on fat. And if you are coming from a diet of deprivation, of living on salads and chicken breasts, your body is probably really starved. If you're trying to heal your hormones, heal your thyroid, you need to increase that fat intake in order to get your hormones functioning properly.
One thing that we talk about in this space a lot is calories not mattering. But I will say this when it does come to calories, a good guide to go by is to figure out what your calorie ideal should be. Use a Navy calculator or one of those calculators online to say, for my age, my weight, my activity level, this is around where my caloric intake should be to maintain a weight or to lose a weight. Know what that number is. So when you do look at how much you're eating, if you're under eating or not, right? If that number is 2,200 calories and you're eating 1,200 calories a day, sure, you're going to have great results for a couple weeks. But then you know what? It's going to slow down, it's going to stop, and you're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be tired, exhausted, and you're going to wonder why nothing's working anymore.
And your weight loss can stall because you are not eating enough. A lot of times in carnivore, we really focus on, or you hear this message of how eating should be intuitive, and the great thing is we don't have to track. And that can be true. Chris and I don't track on a regular basis now. I do have to check in with myself and track because I will naturally undereat over time if I'm just focusing on 1 or 2 meals a day and I'm not emotionally eating. My body just naturally feels satisfied, and Chris has to say, hey, you really haven't been eating enough over the last couple of days. You might want to track and get that protein and fat amount back up again because I've noticed that you're really not eating enough.
So how much you're eating is really dependent on you. Take a look at those guidelines, those numbers, look at where you fall in that.
The last thing I want to say is that it's not going to be the same every day. Our bodies are different levels of activity. We have different hormone cycles, even for men and women. And so having this specific set number of macros that you should hit every single day is really not necessary or realistic for what your body needs are. I do think that having a minimum protein goal is your most important priority. And after that, you can lever the fat up and down, like Chris mentioned, depending on how you feel and your weight loss goals.
So the other part of the question is how often should we eat? And that's going to vary as well, right? How much can you eat in one sitting? I myself can eat all my daily needs in one meal. And that does best for me because I like to eat until I'm stuffed. So I've been doing that for 5 years now. I eat 1 meal a day and it's between 22 and 3,000 calories a day in that one meal, but Laura can't do the same.
I used to for a while in the beginning when I could eat a whole pizza and a pint of ice cream at once. I could sit down and eat, 2 huge ribeyes, and that was all of my daily needs. Now I really just can't eat that much anymore. There are people who have had previous, lab band surgeries or stomach surgeries, and they are able to be really successful on carnivore, but they're having to eat 3 or 4 meals a day.
Someone that can't eat that much might have to eat 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals even, but you want to make sure you're getting that overall number in.
It is important to recognize when you are eating. Is it for hunger or is it for emotional reasons? Typically when we are going to the kitchen and we're grabbing a snack, those are for emotional reasons versus if you are feeling actually hungry, you should sit down and have a meal. Most carnivores find over time that they really do best with 2 meals a day. There are people who are having a hard time eating a lot of volume in one sitting, and 3 meals ends up being really ideal for them.
Outside of your daily routine, you can mix in longer fasts if you want to and leverage that for weight loss as well. But make sure your average, your normal daily routine is the sufficient nutrient goals.
Yeah, under eating plus fasting is kind of the worst combination that you can do because over time, all of those great systems in your body, your hair, your hormones, all of those energy levels are really going to deteriorate because you are not eating enough on a regular basis. So maybe you do need to eat 2 or 3 meals a day. You could go from lunch to lunch, throw in a 24-hour fast occasionally, but then you need to make sure that you're going back and eating enough the rest of the time.
And also if it's breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner or breakfast and dinner, it's really what you can best stay consistent with. Longer fasting periods are good for metabolic health. So maybe breakfast and lunch might be a little bit better than having breakfast and dinner. But if that's not working for you and you can't get it all in, do what works and you can keep sustainable.
Some days I'm eating breakfast and lunch because I go to the gym early in the morning and I am really hungry. So I love having that breakfast after the gym. And then after lunch, I'm full. I've had enough food for the day. Then I'll go all the way until lunch the next day, and the next day I'll have lunch and dinner. So like Chris mentioned, I can get that 24-hour fast in, but still eating 2 meals a day. It can be frustrating because the answer of how much should I eat and how often I eat is not the same answer for everybody. And I'm sorry that maybe this didn't give you the specific answers that you were looking for. There really is a lot of context and nuance, and what we have found over the last 5.5 years is that the more we can make this diet work within our lifestyle and the more consistent we can be long term, the more success that we have found, the less yo-yo up and down of our weight that we have found, and we've been able to sustain it for so long because we make the diet work in our lifestyle and not trying to force somebody's macros or somebody's fasting window onto our life. It has to make sense for you. That's really the most important thing.
And hopefully you can use some of these tools we talked about to figure out where that frequency and amount lands with you.
Remember, more than anything, consistency is better than perfection. We hope this video was helpful for you. If you want to see more content from us, come hang out with us on live streams, see some early access to videos, and have some community support. You can come find us on Locals. Thanks, guys.